The red dust of Zorine 5 swept across the rocky surface like a living thing. Jagged cliffs rose sharply from the plains and deep craters yawned across the barren landscape. The planet was harsh, unforgiving, and rich in rare minerals. It was exactly the kind of place that drew mercenaries, aliens who thrived on danger, profit, and blood. A group of them moved carefully through a narrow canyon. Their armor gleamed under the dim light of Zorine 5's twin suns. Tall and muscular, each mercenary carried weapons far deadlier than anything a regular colonist could dream of. Among them were the Korath, a four-armed species with crushing grips, and the Veil, whose wiry frames allowed them to leap with uncanny speed. They had come to the mining facility of Sector Delta 7 with a simple plan: scare the miners, take control, and leave nothing behind. "This is going to be easy," growled Korath Captain Jorvek. His four eyes scanned the canyon walls, looking for signs of trouble. "Humans, tiny, soft, fragile. They can't stop us." A few of the Veil snickered. They had heard stories of humans. Most mercenaries saw humans as weak, untrained, and unpredictable, but in a dismissive, careless way. They never imagined humans could be dangerous. The first signs of humans came like whispers on the wind. Dust clouds shifted strangely, as if the ground itself obeyed an unseen hand. A sudden flare of light illuminated the canyon, and a loud metallic clang echoed through the rocks. The mercenaries tensed, not because they feared, but because they were curious. "Probably just a malfunction," Jorvek said, though his voice lacked conviction. Then the humans struck. It was not a full attack, no blaring alarms, no massive weapons fire. Just subtle, precise, unexpected moves. A rock rolled down from the cliff above, striking a Korath mercenary and knocking him off balance. A small team of humans, no larger than a dozen, appeared from behind crates and mining equipment. Their weapons were small, mostly handguns and improvised tools, but they moved with a confidence and coordination that stunned the mercenaries. One human, a young woman with short hair and sharp eyes, leaped over a crate and fired a pulse shot that disabled a drone. Another human used a grappling hook to swing onto a higher ledge, taking out a sniper before the mercenary could even aim. Jorvek growled. He motioned his team to advance, but each step they took seemed predicted. Each ambush was clever, precise, and almost effortless. Within minutes, two of the mercenaries were out cold, and a third had his armor dented so badly he could barely move. How are they doing this?" whispered a Veil. His voice shook, something mercenaries rarely allowed themselves to do. "They're humans," Jorvek said, his voice low and tight. "Nothing special, just lucky." But deep down he knew it was not luck. The humans fought not with brute force but with strategy. They lured the mercenaries into traps, used the rocky terrain to their advantage, and communicated silently with hand signals and subtle gestures. They were few, yet they acted like a single organism, moving, striking, and disappearing before anyone could predict their next move. The mercenaries retreated, regrouping in a narrow canyon that offered little cover. They were frustrated, confused, and, something they never admitted, afraid. Jorvek slammed his fist against a rock in anger. "This is impossible. Humans can't fight like this. They're soft. They're weak. They're different," the Veil whispered. He avoided Jorvek's gaze, knowing that admitting fear in front of a Korath captain could get him killed. "They fight smart. Too smart." Meanwhile, the humans did not stop. They worked in teams of 2 and 3, coordinating attacks from angles the mercenaries never expected. Pulse shots disabled weapons, nets immobilized legs, and simple explosives shook the ground under mercenary feet. Every attack was measured to avoid killing. These humans were clever, but they were not cruel. The humans' leader, Commander Elias Rourke, watched from a ridge above the canyon. He was a human in his early 40s, with a calm face and eyes that measured every movement, every possibility. His people were miners, engineers, and security personnel, but they were also trained in frontier survival, quick combat tactics, and improvisation. He never underestimated the mercenaries' strength, but he relied on his greatest advantage: human ingenuity. "Fall back to the ridge," Elias said softly to his team. "Draw them in. They will follow, and then we hit the center." The humans disappeared into shadows and rocks, leaving behind false trails and traps. The mercenaries, frustrated and overconfident, charged forward, expecting an easy kill. Instead, they fell into ambush after ambush. Rocks tumbled from unseen ledges. Tripwires detonated small shock charges, and nets flung from hidden positions entangled arms and legs. One by one, the mercenaries realized something terrifying. The humans could predict their moves not by magic, but by observing carefully, thinking quickly, and improvising constantly. Every attack was anticipated, every escape pre-planned. By dusk, the canyon was littered with disabled mercenary drones and battered armor. The mercenaries who remained were panting, battered, and shaken. Not one of them had expected to be outsmarted by what they considered weak humans. Jorvik clenched his fists. Regroup. We cannot stay here. Call reinforcements. The humans watched silently from the cliffs. Not one had been seriously injured. Their strategy had been simple: survive, protect the colony, and demonstrate human resourcefulness. It had worked beyond expectation. A young miner, barely 18, smiled as he disarmed a trap that had just ensnared a Veil mercenary. They don't even know what hit them, he said quietly. Commander Rourke nodded. They will remember, though. They will talk about this. And one day, every mercenary in this sector will hear the same warning, if they're human. Run. Night fell on Zareen 5. The red dust settled over the canyon, and the mercenaries retreated under the cover of darkness, whispering rumors of humans who fought like nothing they had ever seen. They called them unpredictable, unbreakable, and impossible to defeat. In the quiet, Commander Rourke looked at his team. They were tired, dusty, and bruised, but their eyes shone with quiet pride. Rest tonight, he said. Tomorrow we finish what we started. And somewhere deep in the mercenary ranks, fear had taken root. It was subtle at first, a shiver when dust fell, a hesitation before taking a step. But it was real. Mercenaries were known for bravery, for violence without thought. But humans had shown them something new: discipline, cunning, and courage that could not be measured by strength alone. That night, Zareen 5 was quiet, but the legend had begun. Across alien space, whispers would spread about the humans who defied mercenaries and emerged victorious, not by might, but by mind, by creativity, and by sheer determination. The red planet's shadows held secrets now. Mercenaries would not dare underestimate humans again, and somewhere in the canyon, Commander Rourke allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had once again proven itself, unpredictable, formidable, and ready for the next challenge. The next morning, Zareen 5's red dust burned in the pale light of twin suns. The rocky plains shimmered and the jagged cliffs cast long shadows across the barren surface. The mercenaries had retreated during the night, but they were not gone. Far above, in orbit, a squadron of heavy alien ships hovered, sending reinforcements down to the surface. They had been shaken by the humans' tactics, and this time they intended to overwhelm them with sheer force. Commander Elias Rourke stood on a ridge, surveying the alien encampment below. His team, a mix of miners, engineers, and security personnel, was ready. Though outnumbered and outgunned, they were calm, focused, and prepared. Humans did not panic in the face of danger, they adapted. Listen carefully, Elias said, addressing the small group. They will come in waves. They expect us to run, to hide, to surrender. We won't. We fight smart, we fight together, and we make them regret underestimating us. Everyone knows their role. Stick to it. Protect each other. And remember, improvise when needed. The humans dispersed quietly, taking up positions among the rocky outcrops, abandoned mining shafts, and cliffs. They had mapped the terrain carefully. Every tunnel, every ledge, every ridge would become part of their defense. They carried small weapons, some standard firearms, others improvised with mining tools, yet each weapon was used with precision and care. Down below, the mercenaries prepared for their assault. The Korath, the Veil, and the rest of the hired army bristled with confidence. They had brought heavy armor, large weapons, and even attack drones. Their leader, Jorvik, bared his teeth in a cruel grin. Today, he said, his voice booming across the camp, we finish what we started. These humans are clever, but they are still weak. They will break. But the humans had already set traps along the approach routes. Tripwires, disguised pits, and energy pulses lay hidden in the rocky soil. The first wave of mercenaries advanced, and immediately the humans' traps took effect. A Korath mercenary fell into a camouflaged pit, clutching at the rocky sides while alarms blared. A Veil sprinted forward and triggered an electric pulse that knocked drones from the sky. Elias observed from above. Good, keep moving. Don't get distracted. As the mercenaries regrouped, the humans moved silently through side tunnels and elevated paths. Small teams appeared behind enemy lines, disabling weapons and disabling supply drones. The aliens, frustrated by the humans' unpredictability, began to bicker and panic. They had strength, numbers, and firepower, but the humans had ingenuity. One particularly clever tactic involved the abandoned mining equipment. Humans rigged large drills to launch down shafts, forcing the mercenaries to scatter. A pair of engineers used high-tension cables to swing themselves from ledge to ledge, taking out unsuspecting marks with precision shots. Each move was carefully calculated yet fluid, showing adaptability that the aliens could not anticipate. The turning point came when a squad of mercenaries attempted a frontal assault on the main ridge. They were met with a barrage of human ingenuity. Rocks were rolled from above, electrical charges shorted out their armor, and nets immobilized several mercenaries simultaneously. Those who survived were forced to retreat. The humans did not pursue recklessly. They studied the enemy, learning how they moved, how they reacted, and using that knowledge for the next phase. Even a captured mercenary, one who had been immobilized by a human trap, was treated with unexpected care. The human soldiers did not kill unless necessary. Instead, they asked questions, trying to understand the enemy's strength. The Korath who survived told the others later, "They fight like nothing I've ever seen. They are soft but deadly." The mercenaries, frustrated and fearful, began to notice a pattern. Every time they thought they had the humans cornered, the humans anticipated the move. They struck quickly and vanished just as swiftly. It was not strength, but strategy, courage, and unpredictability that gave the humans an edge. Elias signaled his team to converge for the final strike. "Now we end this," he whispered. "Follow the plan, but be ready to adapt." The humans set a trap that used the terrain itself as a weapon. They lured the mercenaries into a narrow canyon, where heavy rocks hung precariously above. As the aliens advanced, humans triggered explosives that dislodged boulders, blocking escape routes and creating confusion. From hidden positions, humans fired precise shots, disabling weapons and armor systems. Panic spread among the mercenaries. They had strength, but the humans had control, and control in battle was more powerful than brute force. Jorvek roared in anger. "Retreat!" But retreat was impossible. Every exit was covered by a human. Every movement predicted. One by one, the mercenaries fell or surrendered, unable to comprehend how a handful of humans had overcome their vast numbers and superior technology. The final moment came when Elias approached the mercenary command ship. It was heavily guarded, but humans had a plan. Using a combination of grappling hooks, high-tension cables, and precise explosive charges, they disabled the landing ramps and neutralized the guards without a single human casualty. The mercenary commander trapped inside the ship realized the humans had outsmarted them entirely. When the battle ended, the mercenaries were defeated, not killed, but humiliated. The survivors slunk back to their ships, muttering tales of humans who could fight without fear, adapt without hesitation, and turn the terrain itself into a weapon. They called it a nightmare. They whispered the warning to others. "If they're human, run." Elias surveyed the battlefield. His team was tired, bruised, and dirty, but they were alive. The humans had done what few believed possible. They had defeated a superior force not by killing recklessly, but by thinking smarter, working together, and staying fearless. One of the young miners, still clutching his modified pulse rifle, grinned. "They won't forget us." "They won't," Elias said, "and neither will the rest of the galaxy. Humans are not just survivors. We are fighters, thinkers, and, when needed, unstoppable." Across the alien-controlled sectors, rumors of humans began to spread. Mercenaries spoke in hushed voices about small, clever teams that could dismantle the strongest armies without a single loss. Traders told stories of humans who could outthink predators, outmaneuver hunters, and survive where others failed. The legend grew, and with it, the reputation of humanity. Back on Zareen 5, as the dust settled over the rocky ridges and deep canyons, Elias looked at his people. "We fight for survival, yes," he said, "but we fight also to show that humans are more than what others expect. We are clever, brave, and relentless. Today proved it. Tomorrow we will prove it again anywhere in the galaxy." And so the humans of Zareen 5 walked among the red dust, ordinary in appearance but extraordinary in action. They had faced overwhelming odds, outsmarted ruthless mercenaries and survived with skill, courage, and determination. Somewhere, far across alien space, mercenaries shivered at the thought of humans. They had learned a truth that would not soon fade. Humans were unpredictable, unstoppable when clever, and far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The Red Planet was quiet once more, but the story had only begun. Humanity had shown its strength, not in raw power, but in mind, in teamwork, and in the courage to stand unafraid against impossible odds. The galaxy would take notice, and mercenaries everywhere would think twice before underestimating a human again. Zareen 5 had become the proving ground. Humanity had earned a new kind of respect and fear. And from that day on, whenever mercenaries whispered in their ships, the words were always the same. If they're human, run.